Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me once again on Krista So Crafty. My name is Krista, and today we're going to discuss the Calibrate feature of Design Space. So why would you want to calibrate your machine? Well, let's say you go to do a print then cut and it cuts out and it's off, the cutting is off, or you go to use your knife blade and you're cutting something on your machine and all of a sudden it's not cutting where it should be cutting. This will help you to calibrate your machine so that your laptop, your computer, your program, your Cricut Design Space, as well as your machine, whether it be the Joy, the Maker, or the Explorer machines, will cut out the way you want them to. So I'm going to go to the top left corner. Now I'm working on a laptop. The feature for this might be a little different if you're using a handheld device of some sort, but for what I'm doing, I'm using a laptop. So I'm going to go to the top left and there's the three lines. If you click on those three lines, you'll see that there's lots of different options in here. We are going to go under calibration. Click on that and it's going to come up and it's going to ask you, what do you want to calibrate? So if you're using a rotary cutter, you can calibrate your rotary blade, you can calibrate your knife blade, or you can calibrate your print then cut. We're going to use the print then cut feature to calibrate and make sure that everything is all set up. So I'm going to click on the print then cut. It's going to come up to the next feature. It's going to make sure that you have your printer selected, and now I'm going to click print. Now if you've already done this, you can click on I have a calibration sheet, but I'm going to click on print and I'll show you what this does. Okay, so I've clicked the print button and now it's going to print off a sheet. So this is what the sheet looks like. Okay. Once you have your sheet printed, you're going to go back into your laptop or your computer and you're going to go down to the bottom right and you're going to click on continue. Now it's going to ask you to place this sheet into the top left corner of your mat, and then we're going to click on continue. Okay, so I have my sheet placed onto my standard grip mat and I'm just going to get ready to place it in here. I'm going to click the continue and then it's going to send the information from my laptop over to the Cricut Maker. There we go. So it's preparing the machine, so it's all ready to go. On my laptop it does say to make sure that I have my fine point blade located, and then we're going to just load the mat. So I'll click on this, load my mat, make sure that your sheet is pressed down, and then click on the flashing C, and this will now send it through. So what this step does is it goes through, and first of all it checks the registration marks around the outside, so that's this black solid line around the outside. If you'll see the Cricut, it's got a light and it's kind of going back and forth over top of those lines. It's making sure that it's got the cut settings correct for where this is on the page. This is the same type of thing that the Cricut does for the print then cut feature. So it's still checking to make sure it's got it in the right spot. This is part of the calibration process. So now it's making sure that we have the correct blade loaded, and now it's going to start cutting on each one of these lines. So, and on the square in the center. All right, so it has gone and cut the center square, and so now it's asking, did the cut line touch the printed line all the way around? This is where you would, without unloading your mat, do not unload your mat. Just look at your paper that is on your strong grip mat and have a look and see if it cut in the black. If you go and look at your square, the center square, and it's cut right directly on the lines, then that is what you want. You do not want it to look like this at any shape and form. If your cut line is off the black line at all, then you want it to do a calibration. So does the cut line touch the printed line all the way around? Yes. In my case, yes, it did. So I'm going to click on yes, and now click on continue, and the machine will now start doing the other lines. So now it's going to go through, and across the top there are numbers 1 through 21 with lines. It's going to try to cut on those lines. If your machine is not calibrated correctly, then yeah, this will help to calibrate it. Okay, so we're just going to let it finish doing its thing. And now it's going to go down through the alphabet, A through U. Okay, so once again, without unloading your mat, you're going to look at your mat and you're going to determine if it cut properly. So first one's first, we're going to look along the top line, and we're going to look, I'm hoping you can see these cut lines here. So we're going to look and we're going to see which one of these cut lines is directly on top of the lines, okay? And that's the one we're going to choose and put onto our laptop or computer and tell the machine which one it's calibrating correctly on. So I'm going to choose number 11. All right, so this is the screen I was telling you about. It says, without unloading, examine the lines on the top and the right sides of the calibration sheet. Use a drop down to choose the number or letter of the printed lines where the cut is centered with the printed line. So on my top line, I determined that the number 11 was the right cut properly on mine. And down the side, I am going to say L. So the letter L. Now that I have both of these, I can now click on continue. And it's going to go and do a cut around the outside edge. This outside block of the inside, I guess that doesn't make sense, does it? The bigger inner block. So it's now going to cut that, and then we'll go back to the laptop. So from here, confirmation cut, we need to, again, do not unload your mat. Examine if it cut in the center, if it's off by a little bit. So I'm going to take a look at mine, and mine looks good. Yes, the cut is close enough to the center. And I'm going to click continue. Our calibration is now complete. Your mat gets unloaded and you're done. So now when you go to use your machine, whether it be for a print and cut or to cut out a sticker or vinyl, it's going to be cutting where you want it, how you want it. I hope that was helpful, and thank you again for joining me today. Happy crafting.